Okay. Have any of you ever heard of Machinations before by a show of hands? Okay, awesome, because there's very few of us, so for the rest of you, it's going to be a surprise, hopefully a nice one. My name is Mihai Gheza. I'm one of the co-founders of Machinations.io. It's a tool for game design. It's the game design tool, actually something that we feel has been missing in this market ever since the game design term came up. I'm going to tell you a bit of a backstory of how this all came to be, a bit about us. We've worked in the game industry for about 10 years, worked on a running game. Spent 2 years with the guys that did Subway Surfers in Denmark. My business partner and wife, Dana, not in that order, she worked for game analytics, and we got to meet a lot of developers all across the world. Well, a bit focused in Scandinavia, but we started in, I'd say, about 3 or 4 years ago, doing consultancy on monetization and business of games. So everything that's got to do with free-to-play economy, how to make money with games, all of that. And we had the chance of working with some pretty big companies all across the world, doing these types of services, and we started seeing a pattern here. It's every time we worked with a company and we tried to, whether it was configure analytics, whether it was designing systems, it always came up to this, and no matter what we do, it all started with a GDD. Now, I'm sure all of you, or at least the majority of you, have ever worked with a GDD. You know, you start off with a template, and then you write a long document. Nobody reads it, and then you add some spreadsheets, and if you're really good at spreadsheets, you do some functions on some macros or some VBAs. I see some smiles, so that sounds familiar. That's good. And if you want to put an extra time, you do a bit of a flow. And if you're really good and you have a lot of time, then you can do some really nice icons on these flows. And then everybody gets into a room and you spend hours and hours discussing this, explaining this, and then you turn it into tasks and you put it in a prototype. And all of this workflow, I mean, it's perfectly fine in the sense that it's never going to go away, and we're always going to use the tools we love to use and we like to use, and the tools that work. The problem is that if somewhere along the way you realize something's not as it should have been, it doesn't feel right, you don't get the right numbers, you pretty much have to start all over from scratch. And you do these iterations, and the problem is that the information is separate. So it's somehow scattered all across bits and pieces, and whiteboards and emails. And if you, first of all, doing a change, you need to keep track of all the things that need to be updated, and rarely we actually do that. I mean, let's admit it, the GDD is like 6 months old. And not only that, but during these meetings, it's super hard to communicate systems. Like, we've had people tell us that they look at the same whiteboard and each of us leaves home with a different game in their minds. So we've, I guess about 4 years or so, I was on a plane, I was thinking, okay, going back to work and dealing again with all these tools, like there must be something better than this. So I did what anyone would do, Googled, and I came across this tool. It was made by a brilliant mind in the Netherlands called Joris Doormans. It was called Machinations. It had a website, and in the flash box, there was this tool. And with this tool, you could do design, simulation, and balancing of complex game systems. The problem is that it came with a book. Well, sort of a problem if you don't want to read the book, but it has a pretty steep or abrupt learning curve, and you need to put a lot of effort to become really good at the tool. So we said, okay, fine, let's start using it. We used it in our work. We did some workshops, and as I was doing these workshops, it's a photo just like this one, but really poor quality. We started getting these reactions, like people from the audience would tweet about it. They would walk to us and say, hey, can I try this tool? Where is it available? Is there any documentation? Can we discuss more about it? And it sort of picked up on its own. Like, Machinations has this sort of an underground existence that people don't know how many of them use it, but it's scattered all across the planet. And it became increasingly more popular. So UI problems, the fact that it was built in Flash, lack of documentation, all these things made us eventually do the whole startup-y thing. So this year we entered an accelerator in Luxembourg, and we teamed up with the original creator of the tool, with Joris. And one of the things that we had to do in the accelerator was talk with companies. So we did interviews with about 40 of them all across the world, again, mostly from Scandinavia, but hey, that's where your friends are. And we did a sign-up box with the whole ugly GDPR thing, and about 1,300 people signed up over the last year without us doing anything. And I'm happy to say that finally today, like as we speak, a colleague of mine is in Luxembourg. getting a sort of a graduation speech from the accelerator. We're finally in pre-beta, and I finally have a tool to show you. It looks like this. And I'm going to play a video and sort of walk you through it, and then we'll do a demo, and hopefully nothing will crash. Let's see. So, really difficult with this one. It's not full screen, is it? Okay. So Machinations run in the browser. One of the visions that we had is that it had to get the look and feel of anything you would expect of a Google Docs suite. And it uses a unified modeling language. So that's the symbols, that's a source, and everything starts off with a source. And the source creates resources, and resources need to be collected by something. So that's a pool. Any sort of resource in a game, whether it's coins, whether it's XP, whether it's HP, whatever you want to model, there's flows within your game. So don't think of economies strictly about money or currency. In this case, we're designing a runner. So it's going to be a pretty simple one just for demo. There's a generator for distance, and it's going to generate 5 meters per second. There's a cycle, so you'll see when we hit play what happens. And then in parallel, we're going to generate some difficulty, because that's the fun in the action in the running games. So once you hit play, it starts generating. So you see this flow of resources that, well, I think it's pretty cool. But what you can do in Machination is apply all sorts of functions and rules. One of the things we're doing here is that we're changing the type of resource. So we color code them in the sense that this is where you differentiate between the type of resources in your game. You can apply formatting, colors, make things more visually appealing, and there's a lot that we're going to do about this to make them even better. Like think about having your own custom icons in here instead of some generic abstract concept. What we're going to do right now is make a function of distance whereby the further you've run, the more likely you are to acquire coins, as in to pick up coins from the ground. So we'll split it in 3. If you're going to run, let's say, well, I know exactly what it's going to say, but it's going to say 50 meters. So we're going to do 3 types of intervals here. And what we're doing is with the state connection, I know it gets a bit technical, but once you get the language, it just comes natural. But what we're going to do is we're going to trigger them. So we're going to activate them based on 3 different intervals. The first one, 1 to 50 meters. The second one, 50 to 100 meters. And then the last one, anything that's above 100 meters. So that would be after playing 20 seconds, let's say things start getting a bit more interesting. And we're going to collect all of these in a pool. And again, I'm showing you really atomic stuff. Like these are the basic building blocks of any economy. You can do most of the things with a source, a pool, and a sink. And in this case, we're going to color them, well, orange, make something resemble coins and money. I think this is going a bit too slow, but we're good. This is your library. We're going to get a chance to take a look in there because it's a set of prefabs. So imagine grouping all of the structure and adding it to your library for later usage. You have all sorts of options, which some of them are technical, some of them are formatting. The grid behaves pretty much like any sort of diagramming tool in the browser that you would expect. So that's supposed to feel natural and have all the shortcuts that you need. So let's hit play in a sec and see the outcome that we get and how we play out this. All right, so based on distance, we started triggering the low income. As soon as we're going to go past 50 meters, check out the distance, slowly increasing. Okay, I'm getting a hang of this game. I start picking up 2 coins. It's a bit more interesting, and so on. But I guess it wouldn't be that interesting if it didn't have some difficulty. So in a few seconds, we're going to build a branch here. Let me just try and speed up this video, which is going to be a pain. Okay. So we're adding some obstacles which are based on difficulty. And the obstacles give us a chance of crash. And that crash is basically going to end their game. So as soon as an event is triggered, we're going to hit a condition which says, that's it, stop the core loop. And we're going to see how that plays out in a second. One of the cool things I'm going to show you in the demo is the fact that you can plot on a chart all of these values. So you can get a sort of a visual a visual, well, basically a chart. Difficulty in this case triggers obstacles. We're just going to give the player, let's say, a 1 cycle. And this actually difficulty is generated every 2 seconds. Okay, so I crashed because there's a 30% chance of error. I'm either not that good at this game or this is the Dark Souls of runners. And yeah, I guess this would be, in a nutshell, how you would go about designing economies. Now let's try and hack some of this a bit. Let me mirror my screen because I'm not going to be able to do it otherwise. But we're going to open up the same diagram. Yeah, obviously this would have happened. So let's try and fix the thing that we saw kind of bothers us. We're hitting, yeah, okay, full screen. Let's hit run. Let's just see how it looks and feels. Okay, same as we've seen in the video. This crash, let's try and change it to something a bit more casual. So, okay, let's make it feel like 5% and see how long a run we can get with this one. And while you can wait and look at simulations real time, the really cool thing about the tool is that you can switch it to quick run, so it will instantly, well, almost instantly simulate the outcome. So this again is in 5 seconds. And because I have this bug which says that I have to save the file if I want to run a quick simulation, this is pre-beta, so sorry for that. Let's see how far away I get. So I'm going to get to 12 seconds in this case, and then I'm going to, in this situation, ooh, I've made it to 37 seconds, and so on. And something which is going to come next week and is available in the old tool, some of you might know it, is the fact that we're going to be able to run multiple simulations. So we'll hit the button, the tool will instantly run like 1,000 of these iterations, and it's going to tell us an average time of how long just a core session is going to be. And it's then up to you to tweak every single parameter to as much as you like and make it feel right and make it play right. Just one more feature that I want to show you, and it's something that a lot of our users have requested, is the fact that you can add these prefabs. So I just imported a library item, which is a power-up effect. So in this case, let's call it a magnet. And what it's going to do is just going to give me some extra coins. I'm really making this really quick and dirty here. Well, let's put some 20 coins. And see how, if this makes any difference. There's a chance of a magnet dropping, which is about 10%. So the app every second rolls a dice. So there's a 10% chance we'll get a power up. Apparently I wasn't that lucky this run. Oh, come on. I'm going to pick up a magnet. I'm really good at this. Okay, really unlucky. So let's just pump this up a bit, and this will be the last iteration that we do for this exercise. So there's magnets all over, and they're dropping. Yay, I got a power up. So that's going to drain the time. We've made a construct here, which is a timer. You can use multiple tools, and we've gotten a lot more coins in this session. Final one, the thing that I mentioned previously is the fact that you can add everything to a chart, and you're just going to hit, let's do a quick run here and see what we get. And make this look a bit more pretty. So in this case, I've made it to, 8 seconds, and I picked up 7 coins. And you can, again, just keep experimenting this until it feels right for you and your players. Going back to all the stuff that's been cooking up, the fact that we're going to get a nice new website, and we're putting these videos on YouTube so you can go check them out and see how you can make really atomic structures or how you can make an entire game from scratch. We've got a Slack channel where we can discuss, and there's like some of my best friends, designers from all across the planet. We're getting students, we're getting teachers. Machinations is being used in universities such as Columbia or Gothia, and it's Cornell. The list is pretty long, and we've had conversations with universities all across the world, so it has this value for academia. And we're going to, I mean, in one of the things that I mentioned that we already solved, the libraries and the zoom out, I just want to quickly run you through the things that we're going to work over the next 6 months to, okay, I don't know how long it's going to take until we finish all this roadmap, but we're really working on documentation, making this more accessible. I know Machinations, the first time you look at it, has this sort of feel like every time I walk on stage and I try to do a demo of the tool, I feel like my IQ just dropped by 50 because it's really scary. Like at first it has the wow effect, but then again, you think that it's going to be hard to master, and it's not. It's like 8 basic elements. And once you get the hang of it, you're going to be able to snap out any system. Like you're going to be able to plot a game in about 45 minutes. UI improvements, collaboration, anything you would expect from a Google tool, so you'll be able to work with your colleagues across the planet or across the desk as it happens on the same diagram. Sharing, exporting, embedding widgets, different access levels, so you just want to show some decision maker the big picture, and they don't really have to tweak with the design because we don't really want management getting into that. Player profiles, so you're going to be able to experiment what a whale is going to come out versus a casual player. Import, export, all sorts of stuff, plugins, but the big thing is we're going to add analytics. So everything that you've seen on the chart is going to be coupled with live data. So instead of you figuring out, okay, what are the odds that someone's going to trigger a purchase, you can just pick that up from whatever, Google Analytics or Unity Analytics or whatever type of, I meant to say Firebase you're using. And somewhere probably in at least 1 year from now, what you're going to be able to do is push a button, choose a parameter, and then push a button, and the machine will automatically balance it. So imagine instead of you spending countless hours of figuring out what the right parameter is, you just say, I want my run to maybe happen in 35 seconds, figure out how all of this is supposed to work. And when that will be done, then we're all going to be awesome, like in the movie, not like the guy, but like this guy, because he's the brain of the entire operation. And just to sum it up, check it out, sign up for the beta. We're going to be rolling out invites next week. Check out our documentation, join our Slack channel, or just come talk to us or write us. And feedback is super important for us at this stage because we'd really like, of the long list that you've seen, we'd really like to find out what it is that matters most to you. And yeah, help us make this better and finally get the tool that we always needed. So thanks for this, and I'll take any questions, or we can all go for a beer. Yeah. It's not happening. You can just ask and I'll repeat. Not one that I can show you, but we're going to be adding templates. The libraries that you've seen are already there, but they're not. The whole idea is that you open the app and you can start off with a runner or platformer, with an RPG or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, and then you just tweak that. But was it a game that, like a company that has used Machinations before, or if we have games to show? I'm sorry, can we get a mic? Oh, okay. Okay, pretty complex. Well, I can show you something pretty ugly. I think I closed the window and I'm... Okay. So, it's not the ugliest thing you can look at, but it gets a bit intricate. So what we did in this case is we figured out an experiment for a game similar to Dungeon Hunter, right? And you have these, when you do a purchase pack. So in your game, a player has a chance of purchase, well, analytics will tell us what are the odds that a player is going to purchase a coin pack, and this is the basic one. So you can buy 600 gold, 1,400, or 3,000 gold. But the list is pretty long, so as you can imagine, up on, like beneath these packages, you can list all the offers that are in your shop. And every time you purchase, you obviously, the player gets gold, and the most important thing for you is that you get money. So in this example, whenever this happens, we put a drop chance, well, a purchase chance pretty much out of our asses because we don't know what it is, but you can put your actual parameters in there and figure out like if a player has a chance of purchasing a cheap pack once a week, a medium pack once every 2 weeks, and a super expensive pack a month. Then first of all, what's his coin panel going to look at? Is this going to cause any inflation? And pretty important, how is my wallet going to look like? And we did an experiment in here. I know it's a bit ugly because I tried to fit it on a whole spread. We wonder, okay, what if these constructs over here is VIP points? So what if we would give players VIP points with every purchase, which is a pretty common mechanic in games? And we wonder not only what could he do with these VIP points, because imagine that basically this says that if you have VIP points more than 100, you're going to be level 1, more than 400 level 2, and so on. You get it. You can have 20 or 30 VIP levels over here. And not only that, but the rest of the systems that are behind, like this is just insane. Just imagine a city builder or simulator, the kind of complexity you can get in there. And we said, okay, what if this in reverse would trigger a feedback loop where based on your VIP level, you would get discounts in your purchases. So actually, for the same money, you would get more coins. And then you can plot this and wonder if it's going to cause something good for your players and something good for your economy, something good for your revenue, or if everything is going to break loose. And since I'm plotting here gold and cash, and I think they're pretty different in, okay, now I'm using different axes so you can see sort of how they evolve, and they kind of evolve hand in hand in this case. The whole idea is that there's pretty much no limit to the complexity you can plot. Like there's diagrams. If you look on our website and you download the spreadsheets, in the old tool, you'll see examples of subsystems of StarCraft. And like you need a while to understand what goes on there, or Diablo, or like super complex game mechanics. I hope that answers your question. Like, I don't know if it's mind-blowing, but it's it's a lot. Any other questions? Okay. Like the tool itself? Yeah. Okay, so since this is in the browser, it made no, I haven't addressed the issue. And it's there, and I want to get it out of the way because, come on. Yeah, I really don't need this animation. Okay. So we're going to have Machinations was built as an academic product, and together with the book, you get access to the Flash file, and that's been around for years, and it's been free, and you can use it previously on your, your own personal machine, and you can tinker with it. Now, the fact that we're making it better and we're putting it in the browser is because it's something that's natural for this tool, but long story short, all the features that are available in the desktop version will be available for free in the browser-based version. The trick is here that while if you're going to try, it was Flash, and okay, it had some processing issues, but basically it uses a lot of computing power when you do complex simulations. So imagine having a few stochastic elements in there and running 1 million simulations just because you want to get that very precise, the player has a 95.23% chance of crashing, and that to you translates in millions of player churning. So if you're that kind of a user and you put that much processing power, that's going to give us a really ugly Amazon invoice. So we're going to do these features that as you use volume, and if things cost, and if it costs us, it's going to cost you. There's going to be the sort of most of the big players that we've talked to, and I mean AAA studios or like multinational companies, they have demands for their own privacy and access levels and all of that. So it's an enterprise offering. And we're going to have the separate track for academia, which again is going to be free for all forever. Hope that answers your question. Any other questions? Okay. Then again, if there's anything, absolutely, talk to us, join the Slack, and let's stay in touch. Thanks.